Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 71st episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined on the other side of the WNHU studio for the last time. Nicholas
Most likely.
O'Brien. How are you
Unless
doing?
there's some massive news that we just need to record. But
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, last time, the 80.7 WNHU studio.
Your second goodbye in
My second
3
goodbye.
days.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
That doesn't matter.
But this is the Yankees half of it because there's so much shit we got to talk about. So 2 episodes again. No, we're not milking for content. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But to get right into it and to get into, I think, the smallest one, but I think one that I just completely forget happens, but I think could be very good for the Yankees. The Yankees signed Jonathan Wise to go to a 1-year deal, team option for the second. They still don't know what the money is.
Yeah, that's awesome to report.
They
right?
signed him like 2 or 3 days ago, and they
signed him on Wednesday because remember we were on the radio when it happened.
Yeah, they signed him, and I was looking into it last night. I just could not. I looked on Spot Rack. I looked on Twitter. I just couldn't. I looked at Fangraphs. I just could not find the money reported.
Very odd.
If I had to guess, it'd be somewhere around like 2 to 3 mil,
Yeah.
probably, just because he had the elbow surgery and like probably a Luke Weaver-esque deal, but a little bit more, just because he had like more talent, more more history of success.
Yeah.
But then hopping over to a move that the more and more research I do, the more and more I fall in love with the guy, Max Fried. They signed him to an 8-year, $218 million deal. Right off the bat, 8 years is a long time. There was a report that came out that the Yankees were willing to offer, or they proposed an offer that had 7 years in the deal. And I was talking to you, I was like, 7 years, like,
yeah.
guess I'll do it, whatever.
It's like half an hour later.
Half an hour, not even like 20 minutes later, because we were playing Marvel Rivals. If anyone doesn't know, that's an incredible
Shout out Marvel
game.
Rivals.
Yeah, hashtag sponsored, not sponsored. But we were playing, and I think you read that off to me.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later, you're like, oh, passing bomb.
Yeah.
And just so, yeah, that is a lot, but it's about 27 AAV.
Yeah.
And
he is 30 years old.
He is 30.
Yeah.
But I really like the way they did the contract, where we talked on the radio. He has 12 million. He's making 12 million this year, 12 million in 2026, and then 29 for the rest of the contract. But the reason they did that way is after those 2 years, DJ LeMahieu's not going to be under contract. Giancarlo Stanton has a lot of de-escalators, so his contract's going to get pretty cheap, all things considered. You're not going to be paying obviously Rizzo's club option or a buyout. I think you said there was 7 players under team contract for 2027 or 2026.
Yeah, 7 guaranteed contracts. That's
not rookie contracts, actual contracts. Yeah.
Right. So that's your Max Frieds, your Garrett Coles, your Carlos Rodons, all that.
So I really like the way they did that contract. The more and more you really realize, I know you kind of were like, why at first, but now it makes a lot more sense kind of when you look at the money.
I do get it. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't see how it helps right now, unless you're signing another big guy.
That's what I think they're trying to do, though.
Maybe
not
obviously.
sign, but trade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it could help with Cody Bellinger. We'll get into that later.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
Stuff like that. But getting into the actual pitcher itself, since the start of 2020, he has the lowest ERA in baseball at 2.81. Garrett Cole is 5th at 3.12. And
Washed.
I think this year kind of inflated those first few starts. And him also playing with a bum hamstring in 2021 probably also inflated that too. But he is, I think, just overall, I don't think there's that much of an argument. A top 3 ground ball pitcher in baseball for a starter.
I believe he was
second last year behind Frambler. Yeah.
Yes.
Him, Frambler, and Logan Webb.
Framber.
My God, Framber.
There's no L.
I'm rambling, but I'm frambling.
I'm frambling.
But Framber Valdez, Framber Valdez, Logan Webb, and Max Fried are kind of those 3, the holy trinity, I guess you could say.
Upper echelon of ground ball pitchers.
Yeah, just to be in the conversation with those 2 guys is pretty insane. To be arguably better than them is also insane. But I did not realize he had 7 pitches last year. 7 pitches. And just to go over the percentage of how often he throws them, 33.6% of the time four seam, 21% for the curveball, 15.6 for the sinker, 13.6 for the changeup, 5.9 for the sweeper, 5.6 for the slider, 4.7 for the cutter. Going into the four seam fastball and the curveball, just because those are his two main pitches that everything kind of plays off of. His fastball sits 93, 95. It tops out at 98, 31% chase percentage, which is pretty damn good for a fastball that's sitting 93 and 95. Then his curveball, 33% whiff percentage, very good. But all that things, say what you want about like the chase percentage, whiff percentage, all that. The most impressive part to me is just the way that he mixes his pitches. Because we talked about Carlos Rodon, how he has the talent. He has some great pitches that all grade out really well with stuff plus, all that. But he just doesn't know how to use them. That's why I love
likes
Max.
his fastball too much.
Yeah, that's why I love Max Fried, because he is a guy that part of the reason why I'm fine with it being an 8-year contract is he is a pitcher. He will grow well with age. And you look at the sinker and cutter, which are his two other fastballs. They both play off the fastball. So, like I said, it's just that deception and kind of way to do that. And then the slider sweeper also play off the sinker and curveball. Changeup and curveball. My fault. So it's just one of those things where he knows how to sequence his pitches, and that's why he has the lowest ERA since 2020. So, and as a Mets fan, what is your opinion on maybe not the contract, because like the years, all that, on the player, Max Fried?
I am so happy he's out of the NL East. He's an excellent pitcher. I think I was talking about like last offseason or like the offseason before that. I would have loved Max Fried. I think he's a great pitcher. He obviously has a lot of good stuff. He throws the kitchen sink at you. He has a ground ball rate. He was my Cy Young pick in 2023. He was runner up in 2022. So look, we don't need to sit here and tell the audience, I want to call it that, how good of a pitcher Max Fried is, because I think that's well known. But yes, 8 years is a lot.
I'll be honest, I didn't know he was. I knew he was good, or really good. I didn't know he's this good.
I guess
looking at the numbers,
National League, obviously, you see him all the time, especially in division.
Yeah,
but he's disgusting. The curveball's filthy. The fastball plays up. I think. I think he has some pretty good extension. Yeah, he has a little bit above average extension. So, that 94 can maybe look a little more like 95, 96. But, no, excellent pitcher. I think the Yankees got a great guy. I mean, that 1-2, Garrett Cole, Max Fried is insane. He's not going to overpower you. Max Fried isn't going to go 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. He might. He very well might. But I see him more as like a 6-7 guy, like 6 to 8 strikeouts, like maybe like a strikeout inning.
He reminds me of a very, very juiced up Nestor Cortez.
Yeah.
Just because of he's not trying to overpower you. He has slower fastball compared to league average, but he obviously has more pitches. He is just better. But that's kind of the vibe I get. Where it's just the kind of like crafty lefty.
Throws the kitchen sink at you.
Yeah. So I'm very confident in the long-term outlook.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned it to you that my only concern.
I was about to say this. Yeah.
He is, quote unquote, a spinner. He has a lot of off speed and breaking pitches. So obviously when it comes to breaking pitches, that puts a lot more stress on the elbow. He was dealing with forearm tightness or like forearm issues the past 2 years back to back. So it made him miss a lot of 2023. Even in 2024, he still made 29 starts after missing some time with the forearm. So that's my one concern. But
what month was the forearm in this year?
That's an excellent question. I want to say July.
Okay.
I could.
So he
be
came
wrong.
back, had a couple of months under his belt, and
Yeah. It was. Thank you, Fox Sports.
I love Fox Sports for
It's
injuries.
amazing.
That's the only thing I use it for.
It was in July. It was in
Okay.
July. So he also deals with blisters a lot, but that's like
That's so.
it
just-
happens.
Speaking of blisters,
Yeah.
I used a thumbtack to pop one yesterday for anyone that cares. But
Don't worry, you're sterilized.
yeah, I use an alcohol swab. Don't worry.
But yeah, he's excellent pitcher. That's my one concern. And look, if he's 30, if 36-year-old Max Fried is a tick above league average, whatever.
Yeah, I've been saying this on the radio. I don't give. I didn't say this on the radio because I couldn't. But I don't give a shit about the Yankees team, and anything longer than 4 years.
Yeah.
You have a window right now with two of the best players in baseball, in Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. They aren't getting younger. You have to capitalize this window.
Absolutely.
That's part of the reason why I didn't care about how much money you wanted to sign Juan Soto to. That's part of the reason why I didn't care what you had to trade for Kyle Tucker, but he got traded for. I'll get more into that later. But you're in such a win now window that everyone should be. Everyone should just.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like everyone should be on the chopping block. Like Luis Heel. I'll get into that later, but I refuse to believe he wasn't in discussions for Tucker. But then going into did you have anything else on Fried?
The witch is dead. Thank God.
No. He's not dead. He got resurrected. We made a pentagram.
The witch went to the other side.
Okay.
He went back to the east.
No, he died, but then we put a pentagram in blood and resurrected him.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs devil magic type thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Braves do. I mean, look where they're built.
Yeah. So the other guy that they traded for, which I didn't think it was going to happen. I saw buzz around it. You were floored.
I was completely blindsided by this.
So the Yankees traded for Devin Williams, another guy that I knew was really good. I did not realize how good he was. So the package right off the bat was
until he meets Pete Alonso.
Okay. Before I get into that, let me just say this. I love how Mets fans are like acting like Devin Williams, like on Twitter, is like trash because of that home run.
Yeah, I know.
But at the same time, then we were just posting all the Clay Holmes giving up clutch home runs.
I know.
It's like, okay, you want to play this game? God damn it, we'll show you how your number 2 starter is right now.
The fact that people actually think Clay Holmes is the number 2 starter is ridiculous.
Well, no, it's more like an exaggeration.
I know.
Like,
I understand it's an exaggeration, but ridiculous.
Sorry to get out. He'd be what, 4?
Yeah.
3, 4?
Yeah. And at the same breath, who gives a shit? Because it's not like it really matters until you get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair, yeah.
Whatever.
But that's
Yeah.
so off topic. But the package, they traded away Nestor Cortez and Caleb Durbin and $2 million.
Cash considerations, my goat.
Yeah, seriously. I also just want to say really quick off the bat, fuck baseball trade value. Like that thing. It's so stupid how there's literally a guy that I follow on Twitter. I'm not going to name him, but just because he like reports all like the reports and kind of just, it's an easy way to see all the rumors going around. And he's like, okay, slight overpay because it was like 12 million to 8 million. And then it said they gave up, the initial report was 4.5 million. So it was like 17 million to 8 million. He's like, I don't like the deal anymore. And it's like, really? You're going to, and I see so many people that like look at it and like, it's like, I don't care. The reason why they gave that money was so that it balanced out.
Yeah, and look, the Brewers are a smaller market. They are trading Devin Williams because he is making not a ton of money.
I think 9 million. When I looked it up, I think it was 9 million.
Yeah, he's not making a ton of money because they declined his option. But the last year of his contract, they like to save money where they can. They have an excellent pitching lab. Trevor McGill, pick him up in all your fantasy drafts this year.
Oh my god, yeah.
But
no, so I'll get into the package first. So Nestor sucks. I just want to give a Viking. Oh god, I've given too many Viking funerals this offseason. So from 2021 to 2024, 489 innings pitched, 3.33 ERA, 123 ERA plus, 495 strikeouts, 1.08 WHIP, 10.3 WAR. You got to give him all the flowers. He was so much better than people are acting. How he was, people are acting like he was just a dog shit pitcher. And I think mainly I really hope the mic can pick that up. If not, it's gonna be an awkward silence. The mic's not picking it.
It's
Oh,
not.
now it
is
is.
it?
It's not. Nick's trying to play taps.
I'm trying to play taps.
For those that don't know, it's like funeral noise for veterans. But so I think people are shitting on Nestor mainly because of the home run he gave up in the World Series. But let's be honest, he just should not have been in that. That was malpractice by Aaron Boone, throwing a guy that hasn't pitched in 37 days. So I think a lot of people just had that sour taste in their mouths because of that. But great guy. Part of the reason why is he only had 1 year left on his contract. But from an organizational standpoint, to turn a 36th round pick that was a journeyman essentially for the beginning of his career, and Lucas Litke, who hasn't pitched in the majors in 15 months, into the best closer in baseball, maybe? Arguably the best closer in baseball. Definitely.
Arguably. Top 3.
Top 3 for sure.
Top 3.
So that is such a dub organizationally. Like, people got to give the Yankees credit for that. What'd you say?
Dub.
That's
funny.
I mean, how else would
Such
you?
a dub.
Such a dub, bro.
It's a dub for the Yankees for real.
Jameis Winston, eat a dub, bro. But no, Caleb Durbin. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast or the radio, but I know I talked to you about it, that I felt like it was just smokescreen with all they were talking about him. They do this all the time. Like when they were hyping up Gio Urshela as their opening day shortstop, then he got traded away. How they were hyping up Bubba Crosby as their center fielder. That did not work out. So that's just how the Yankees work, that when they hype guys up that much is literally just for trade value. That's all it is. Like how I don't know why they would be doing this, but they've been like kind of very watered down on Dominguez. I have a feeling it's because they just don't want to trade Dominguez. So
I feel like if you know, you know. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows who Jason Dominguez is.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I get what you mean. It's like get the under the radar guys.
Yeah.
People got to remember, I've said this multiple times, Caleb Durbin wasn't a top 30 prospect before the year, or like when the year ended. So he just had the Arizona Fall League breakout, and even then, you look at the pitching ERAs, the average ERA was like 5.5. So I liked Caleb Durbin. I like the stuff that he gave, but he's also short at 5'6", so he didn't matter.
That's crazy. Didn't matter.
I'm kidding. All my short kings, I'm kidding. But yeah, imagine being that short. I
will jump across this table.
I'll
do it. Don't tempt me.
That'd be some great content.
I'll Wolverine your ass.
I was gonna say the Wolverine, but getting into Devin Williams. So since his debut in 2019, second in ERA at 1.83, fourth in K per 9 at 14.3, sixth in home runs per 9 at 0.6, first in hits per 9 at 4.9. Two-time reliever of the year in 2020 and 2022. He is a damn good ground ball pitcher. And I mention it for both just because Matt Blake is Nostradamus. You're probably sick of me saying that with that. But going from 2020 to 2020, 2020 to 2024, 96th percentile, 61st percentile, 82nd percentile, 77th percentile. This year not qualified because he had a stress fracture in his back. Seems to be fine now. Pitched the last 2-3 months of the season.
Something like that, yeah.
So that's one of the things that when we were talking, I remember he had the stress fracture. I didn't remember when it was because
he came back in July. He pitched 1 inning in July. So really came back in August.
Call it
2 months.
2 months and a week because of the playoffs.
2 months plus.
Yeah.
2.5.
But yeah, just call it that because of playoffs. So there's a big difference between him coming back and pitching 2.5 months, not having an injury, and him not finishing the year out because of it. There's a huge difference. And I don't know if anyone here has stress fractures. Those things suck. And I'm not going to pretend to be a medical professional. I didn't get near the care that he got, near the medical just expertise. And again, Triboro MD coming in here. But stress fractures, at least in my legs, like they act up a lot. Like if I'm like running a lot and I don't really stretch them properly, I feel the stress fracture a lot, like really bad. And in your back, in your back, I don't know if you guys know this,
Kind of need that.
especially for a pitcher with a building the torque. So I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I know how his body works, how the medical treatment he got, all that. But definitely a tad concerning.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
It's not something that goes away.
You can't scoff at it.
Yeah, it could very well come up again in the season. He could miss a week or so. It's not out. There is a 0% chance he misses time in 25 because of it. But like you mentioned, because he finished out the year, it's a little more digestible, I guess, if you want to call it that, because he'll have a full off
A
season.
lot more encouraging.
Yeah, encouraging. He'll have a full off season, healed, you think, and then preparing with that in mind.
Luis healed.
Luis healed, and yeah, so you figure he'd be all right in 25 if. And again, he's not pitching every day, so you
Yeah.
kind of you
You
need to
can-
give him a day off.
I was gonna say give him an extra day of rest in between appearances, stuff like. You still have Luke Weaver, who we know can be a closer. But getting into the actual pitcher itself, like, oh my god, the changeup is.
Nasty.
I believe since he came up, it has the most horizontal break in baseball, or at least since 2020.
I wouldn't be
Um,
shocked.
But
Definitely sounds right.
they call it the airbender changeup just because it literally just you watch it. I encourage everyone right now, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this, look up YouTube on like another device so you could still hear me, my beautiful voice talking. Look up his changeup highlights. It is disgusting. It just doesn't make sense, and I'm very excited to see that. He also has a very good fastball. He's essentially a 2-pitch pitcher and a fastball changeup. And I'm very, very excited to see him pitch. And he is your Tommy Canley replacement for all intents and purposes. The guy that just a disgusting changeup, but he's not going to be throwing a changeup 39, 40, 50 straight changeups. But when he does, it's going to be just so unhittable. So
It is quite nasty. And yes, it does have. I couldn't tell like since he came up, but I looked at 23 since that's his last full season. His changeup has the most horizontal break of any changeup in the majors.
So just he's gonna lose some aura points because of the facial policy. But
Dude, it's gonna be brutal.
I kind of find it funny.
It's brutal.
That is same thing with Max Fried. Not as much.
Fried's
but
not as bad. I think Fried can pull off the
clean shaven, the baby face.
but you're getting rid of his dreads and his beard and everything. It's like
That's part of the reason that
that's
people.
fucked up.
That's part of the reason people didn't want them to get Kyle Tucker, and that's a perfect segue into Kyle Tucker. So you see what I'm doing? I'm getting really good at my goddamn segues.
Wow.
So Kyle Tucker was, when was it, Tuesday night or Monday night, when it kind of just like
Sped up.
and I was gonna say like there was really no drum beat, and then the kind of like drums kind of started a little bit.
Yeah, like Tuesday, Wednesday. It was definitely still during when the winter meetings were going on.
I think it was either Monday or Tuesday, because it definitely wasn't Wednesday
Call it
because we
Tuesday.
were talking about like what if a break happened on air.
Yeah, call it Tuesday.
Yeah, so let's just say Tuesday. Tuesday night, because Christian Walker that night, because it was
Yes.
almost a thing Max Fried and Christian Walker on
It
the
was,
same
like,
day.
This close.
So, which we will get into, but Kyle Tucker was Dana Brown, right? Dana Brown?
Yep.
The GM for the Astros, kind of said, like, we'll listen to anyone. And then the just buzz behind the Astros, or behind Kyle Tucker getting traded, just started to get higher. And the Yankees almost had a deal with Christian Walker. It seemed for all intents and purposes it was going to get done.
It's on the 1 yard line.
But then it just seemed that Kyle Tucker kind of was just like, no, we got to focus on that.
Yeah.
So they started focusing on it. Yesterday, he got traded to the Cubs for a pretty good package. I'd definitely say it was what? It was
Isak
Paredes,
Paredes,
Smith,
Wineski,
Wineski,
and
yes,
then
Yankee legend.
Cam Smith?
I don't know. He was a top prospect. Yeah.
Top 100 too.
So, I think he was former first-round pick.
So that sounds right.
But whatever. Kyle Tucker only had a year on control left. I talked about it. He would have been your Juan Soto replacement for all intents and purposes, closest thing you could get to Juan Soto. I really don't like that Isaac Paredes is in the Crawford boxes now. He may
Oh my
turn into
God.
Barry Bonds
Match made in heaven.
and hell. But that is just
Pick him up in all your fantasy leagues.
seriously. Then
Cam Smith. Sorry.
Cam Smith. But the Yankees offer was Ben Rice, George Lombard, and I forget was it Hampton?
No idea.
You
I
forget.
had no idea that an offer came out. I'm being honest.
Yeah, because remember the offer came out that they had Luis Heel, and then Jack
didn't.
Curry said they didn't have Luis Heel. I want to say it was Rice, Lombard, and someone else. But for those that don't know, George Lombard was their first round pick, not the year that just happened, but the 2023 draft. And the Astros were apparently in love with Luis Heel, and if they were gonna do a deal, it was gonna start with Luis Heel. I truly think it's a thing of Cashman didn't offer him because he didn't think that the Astros were serious about trading him to the Yankees. But because they've been very aggressive. The Yankees haven't trade markets trying to do that because they're trying to make up for losing Juan Soto. So it
Can't
wouldn't
fault
make
them for that.
Yeah.
Like they are doing a really good job and
it wouldn't
touching base with everything.
it wouldn't make sense to sign Max Fried and then not try to trade your starting pitching depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because did you see what Luis Heel put on Instagram?
Yeah, he's happy.
Yeah, so
He's
he put
happy.
after Kyle Tucker got traded to the Cubs, he put on his Instagram, God bless me, something along those
Yeah.
lines. Where that's why the thing of him not being involved, people saying that he never got offered, you can't tell me he wasn't involved in these discussions. after
Unless
he did
the
that.
only other thing I think of is just
He heard rumors.
and just like him being on social media, like everyone kind of packaging him in. But I can't find the offer, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you can never complain about
A guy wanting to be on your team.
You can never complain about that. And I told you this in the car yesterday. Like, yeah, it sucks that we didn't get Kyle Tucker. I'm not going to complain about us still having Luis Heel,
Yeah.
the guy that has potential to be a high-end number 2, low-end number 1 starter if he could just figure out his control. So, and that's obviously a big if, but I'm never going to complain about having Luis Heel.
Yeah.
So, again, I would have done the trade. I don't care what you had to do. I would have given up anyone other than Dominguez. I may have given up Dominguez depending on the package. So it sucks, but again,
I honestly don't think the Yankees could have matched the Cubs offer all that much without giving up more.
Heel.
Yeah. I feel like, it would have been
Heel was the Paredes of the Cubs offer.
Yeah, basically.
In the sense of the headliner.
Yeah, basically. And then it also sounded like that Jim Crane just didn't want to.
That's my thing. Like, you can't really fault Cashman for that because I think it's a thing if he would have offered Heel if he had the feeling that they were willing to offer him.
Yeah, but it sounded like Jim Crane and the Astros organization just did not want to send him to the Yankees, which.
Just say that you're another org. I can't think of one. Just argument's sake, say the Mariners because Luis Castillo's been talking. I don't think that it would be more likely a bad. But if you hear that Cashman's willing to give up that much and you smell that blood in the water, you're calling him right away, trying to get everything you possibly can. So I don't fault him for trying not to leak that he gave up that much.
Right.
Especially like Curry said he never was thing. So I kind of think of it a thing of like posturing.
Yeah.
But and again, John Heyman, so take it for what you will, so that an extension is not likely. I don't see it. I've talked about this so much too. I just don't see the Cubs giving out a contract of like 10 years, at minimum 10 years, minimum $400 million.
They should.
They
That's
should,
the
but I
thing.
just don't see
It's not
it.
like they have big contracts.
But they've just never done something like that in the past.
What's the
Guess what? Swanson's like 7 years?
something like that?
Like 7, like 180, something along those lines. But he most likely will be a free agent in the offseason next year. The Yankees have to just throw a dump truck at him.
Yeah.
And that's just I wouldn't hate if they did. I don't even know who would be the option for it, but some sort of stopgap left fielder. Again, I don't know who on God's green earth that would be, but just to throw an absolute dump truck at Kyle Tucker in the offseason.
Yeah, he's getting 400 mil.
At minimum.
Yeah.
Especially after Soto, and he's a more complete player.
That's the other thing. If you think he was going to sign an extension after you saw Soto just got, yeah, another
I was
thing coming.
thinking maybe the Yankees could, just because I think they'd be willing to throw a lot more of a bag out of desperation, and
Maybe.
Tucker's agent could use that against
Maybe.
him. Because there also is a history with that agency and Brian Cashman. That agency was Derek Jeter's agent. So there is, again, that didn't really end.
Familiarity.
Didn't really end that well for the Jeter Cashman type of things, but I think that was more a Jeter thing than the agency thing, just because the way Jeter is. Yeah. But hashtag I stand with Jeter. But
really quick, just on the Cubs, because we were talking about it. In 2026, they have 9 guaranteed contracts. None of them are higher than 30 mil a year.
Yeah,
and that's with Bellinger, who A, might get traded, and B, might opt out.
Yeah.
So after that...
Same thing with Suzuki.
Where's Suzuki? There he is. Yeah, he's only making 19 a year. He could get traded because he doesn't want a DH. Let me... But basically, it's Dansby, and then Bellinger, and then Ian Happ, who's making 19 mil.
Another guy that may get traded.
Right. Bellinger I doubt he's going to be on the team next year. So
I'd be floored. Even if it's not to the Yankees, I would be floored.
There is space for Kyle Tucker on the Cubs. So the Cubs should do as much as they can to
I agree. I 100% agree.
Him, but at the same time, if they don't extend him, this Central is wide open. Yeah. I keep saying that about excuse me. I keep saying that about the Brewers, but the Brewers always do much better than I anticipate. But it doesn't look like a bad team on paper.
Yeah, but
we've said that a lot.
It's gonna be very interesting to see him hit at that stadium.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Because that's like, we talk about Yankee Stadium being incredible for lefties. That stadium, with the way it just juts out in right field, is going to be, the wind plus that is going to be interesting to see how he hits there. But
for left-handed hitters, the Cubs are ranked 16th in park factor.
What about home runs?
They are ranked 23rd.
And I'm shocked it's that high.
Yeah.
Personally, but
the wind.
I still remember 2019, Brett Gardner hit a home run over that short
deep,
porch.
Yeah.
So, or long porch, I guess you would call it.
Deep porch.
Yeah, it was like a clutch home run in the 9th inning to give the Yankees the lead over that deep porch.
Yeah.
But
the Reds are 1st. The Brewers are 4th. Pirates are 13th. A lot of the teams is going to be playing a lot, so.
Yeah. But also at the same time, the people don't realize how short the poles are at Houston. Take out the Crawford box. Even right field has a short porch, but people don't talk about that enough. The other one was Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox. I'm happy he didn't get Crochet, honestly.
You don't know ball.
No, because I didn't want to give up Dominguez Lombard plus, because that's what they wanted for the headliner.
Yeah.
And I just don't see you giving up Dominguez when you already need an outfielder. Then you're going to need 2 outfielders. And they already had signed Max Fried. So it's just a thing of, you already had, because they didn't trade Nestor yet, you already had 7 starting pitchers on this roster. And if you traded for Crochet, 3 out of 5 of your starters would be lefties. So I like that they didn't get him. But then going into their actual needs, they have first base, either second or third baseman. I think they still need another reliever or 2, and then a left field, or just, I put left fielder. It could be left field, center, just an outfielder. So first base, I think the number one guy we got to talk about is Christian Walker. So the situation that happened is, for all intents and purposes, it sounded like they had a 3-year deal around $60 to $66 million, where he was about to put pen to paper, but for whatever reason, it broke through or fell through. I truly think it's just because Kyle Tucker became available, and the Yankees had to put all their resources into it. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees try and figure out what's going on with Bellinger, and then right after that, try and go back to Christian Walker and offer him that same deal.
Yeah.
The only issue with Christian Walker, I guess there's two issues. Just it's his oblique. That's like the big question mark, right?
Is it?
I think it's his oblique just like flaring up. You can fact check me on that. And he does have a qualifying offer attached to him. So with the Yankees, they're in the certain luxury tax threshold. So they already had to give up a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick to get Max Fried. And if they sign another guy with a qualifying offer, they'll have to give up their third-round pick and their sixth-round pick. So that'll be for their top 7 picks given up because they did get a fourth-round pick for Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Which is just, don't get me started, but
really quick on Walker's oblique. I wouldn't call it an issue. I mean, that's what made him miss the majority of his time last year, but before that, his last oblique injury was in 21.
Okay. I just remember reading about that and people saying like they were worried about the oblique.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't follow the Diamondbacks as close, but from my
you're a closeted Diamondbacks fan.
I am. I'm a closeted Christian Walker fan.
You have his shirt. I'm
do.
surprised you weren't wearing it today.
I have his jersey. But yeah, I wouldn't call it an issue. I mean, obviously he's older, so it could flare up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what
just
caused him to miss.
something to note. Whereas like
Yes.
last year, because like how we're saying with obviously it's different for an oblique versus a forearm for a pitcher.
Yeah.
Which is how we were looking at that for Max Fried.
It could nag.
Yeah, we're looking at that for Devin Williams. So it's just, especially obliques are one of those things of
So finicky.
they're so finicky. They have such they're prone to re-aggravate.
Yeah.
So that's really the only two issues I have for Christian Walker. Other than that, I think a 3-year deal for this guy at 20 to 23 million AAV is perfect.
Golden.
Like absurdly good defender, elite, best defensive first baseman in baseball. It's not even particularly close.
No.
And I think that this matches perfectly with their timeline of them wanting to move Judge to first base in 3 to 4 years. And once the contract's done with Christian Walker, then you have first baseman. That's part of the reason why I think they're not going to sign Pete Alonso, because I just don't think it. One, I don't think they want to give
Apparently
that much money.
they're interested.
I think that's just Boris.
Yeah. I know. It did come from Heyman.
So I think that's just Boris, but I don't see, because I don't think they want to give out that much money to Pete Alonso, and I don't think it just matched their timeline for that. So Christian Walker, I am all in on. I would be shocked if they don't revisit and go very hard after him after Kyle Tucker went to the Cubs. Couple other guys that for first base, Carlos Santana. I would really like Carlos Santana if they miss out on Christian Walker. He plays. I did not realize how good he was defensively. I did not know he was that good defensively.
If you look, because I was just looking at it. If you look at fielding run value, he was a better defender than Christian Walker.
Yeah. At least last year. But
at least last year. Yeah.
Since like I forget, I think it's like since 2020 or 2019, something like that. Christian Walker's 1, Carlos Santana's 2. So you're getting some absurd defense. And one thing that I really need a good defensive first baseman, because you don't know what's going to happen with either second or third base, because Jazz is going to play 1. So you don't know how good the other guy's going to be defensively. And they're talking about they want to get better with the fundies. You're going more for run prevention. And Christian Walker is one of those guys that he's going to give you both. He's going to give you some great run prevention, and he's going to give you some very good pop. So he's a guy that'll hit 30 home runs a year. He'll have around like an 800 to 850 OPS, which is worlds better than what they've been getting from first base. And I just match made in heaven for Christian Walker. So, and he also hits lefties really well. That's another thing. That's why I really like Carlos Santana. Last year he hit a 161 WRC plus against lefties. I believe it was like a 130 overall in his career against lefties. So love that. Paul Goldschmidt, another guy, finished out the season strong, had a really bad first half, but I think he had like an 800 OPS. Now, getting into some trades, Yandy Diaz from the Rays kills lefties, high on base. I don't think the Rays really care about where they trade guys to.
Yeah.
I don't think they give a shit. They just go with the highest offer. Maybe you call the Rangers for Nate Lau, just because they just signed Jake Burger, if I could speak.
Burger.
I would hate this. It'd be a good fit. It would be a really good fit.
Is it this the hamburger? The hamburglar?
Yes. You call the Guardians about Josh Naylor. And
He is a large man.
dude,
like, not joking, like
he is fat.
he's
large.
Wario.
He is Wario.
Large.
And
It's
just
a little concerning if I'm being honest.
I'm talking about like fundies getting more athletic. No, he is he's the complete opposite.
Trade
Of that.
Josh Naylor. Oh my god.
So that's just a guy to watch.
It's another name.
I think it. Do you call the Padres about Luis Ariz? He's making.
Luis Ariz is not a good baseball player.
You don't like him?
No,
I don't either. I'm just throwing out names.
Yeah, I mean,
just my reason why he's making $14.6 million. He's about projected 14.6 in arbitration. Yeah. So that's a relatively high contract for the Padres. They've been talking about trading Dylan Cease for payroll reasons. So
he has consistently overperformed his expected weighted on base. He had a 130 weighted runs created plus in 22-23. He had a 109 in 24.
I've been on the record saying this multiple times. I think guys like that, if they overperform their weighted on base, I don't really look at it too deep. Because he's a guy that he's literally just trying to slap the ball the other way. He's trying to be a slap hitter.
He has the lowest bat speed in all of Major League Baseball.
But it works for him.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's what his style is. I guess we want to call it.
Because like you look at like a Jeter and Ichiro, obviously I'm just gonna throw his name out there, but Tony Gwynn, where I guarantee you, if you look at their expected weight on base, they're gonna outperform it just because that's not the type of hitter they are.
Yeah.
So but then again, I wouldn't be the biggest fan because he's not. Oh God.
Just red expected batting average, blue.
He's American. He's American.
Honestly, the Mariners should trade for Luis Ariz.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because they don't need to worry about like pop or anything. Like
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. That is my biggest thing with Ariz. Like, yeah, the contact bat to ball skills elite. Like no one's better in the game. But we literally talked about how July 31st was the last time they had a home run from first base.
He's not giving you one. He might give you 5.
Hey, WBC, Luis Ariz.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah.
You get him in the short porch, he's hitting 25 a year.
He is also an awful defender. Wherever you put him. The Padres DH'd him half the time.
I don't blame him. So he
is like putrid. -7 at second base, -6 at first base, -7 at third base. He was in the outfield. -2.
Oh my God.
-2 in left field.
Why are you putting that chunky boy in left field? What?
Awful defender.
Oh my God.
He is in the first percentile of outs above average.
God.
Awful.
My rankings would probably go Christian. If I had to make like a top 5, Christian Walker. I think this is interchangeable. Carlos Santana and the Yandy Diaz, I think are kind of interchangeable. Paul Goldschmidt, just because years.
Definitely gonna be a 1-year deal.
Yeah, maybe a 1-1.
Yeah. 2
and
then
opt out. I don't even. Everyone else, it's kind of like.
Rather not.
Like, I mean, Nate Lau probably 5.
Would you be upset if they signed Pete Alonso?
Depends on the deal. That just comes down to
they sign him to a 5-year. $130 million deal.
I could get behind that because of 5 years.
Okay.
I think that's the reason why. For me, it's all the years in the timeline would judge.
Yeah,
because also a thing there is, sorry to cut you off, but by that time, I think Stan's contract's done in 2027. I think it's a club option for 28. So realistically, if Judge isn't that good a defender, you want to keep him off his feet, you could either DH him or Alonso and then just put the other one at first base.
Rotate it.
So I wouldn't hate that. Frankly, I wouldn't hate that, but if it's a 5-year deal.
I personally do not think he's getting more than 5. That's why I said it. But
I've just been seeing so much buzz about 6-7 years, where it's just like
I've been seeing so much buzz that he doesn't have a market.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much just mixed reports that it really just depends on. Because I'm not a guy that really cares about years, but you really just have to look with the timeline would judge.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
That's the main thing
that's the
that
biggest
I'm
thing.
concerned about, especially for For all the other positions, I don't give a shit. But for first base specifically, that's why I'm just in love with Christian Walker for first base. What do you think is the best first base option?
I think Christian Walker's just match
I
made
think
in
it's
heaven.
like Walker, Santana, Diaz,
Yeah,
and then
everyone else.
Then like Alonso, depending on years, and then
everyone else.
Nate Lau I wouldn't hate just because of the defense, but
Yeah, I think
lefty,
Nate Lau
short
would be a
porch.
good get too.
And he would also be cheap, too. So
Definitely.
because they've been saying they're looking for relievers, so maybe you swing an Efros or a Leiter,
Yeah.
something like that. Which
But-
let me just say, I love Leiter. I think people are just shitting on him a lot, but finish what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I think Christian Walker is match made in heaven. I can't see Diaz. I don't think that happens.
Mhm.
Because
they don't trade him to the Yankees, or
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's just even if the Rays don't care, it's tougher to
It is,
trade
yeah.
in division. And then I think Carlos Santana is like an excellent backup if you don't get Walker.
because he's gonna be a 1-year deal, cheap, like
Right.
1 year,
And
$12
he
million,
just-
like
Wherever he
hits.
goes, he's just
He
like
hits.
he's just that guy.
Like, he'll give you like a 750 to 800 OPS. He'll
Right,
probably knock 25, 30 home runs with
The
short
past
porch.
couple years, 2022, a 102 weighted runs created plus. 2023, 100. 2024, 114.
Which is significantly better, first off, than what you got.
Right.
And you're getting the second best defensive first baseman in baseball.
Yeah, he'd be a good get for whoever
Yeah.
gets him.
He's a solid, because there's no qualifying offer.
And plus, he always goes on some insanity run and like in the middle of the summer. So I think it would work out pretty well.
that's kind of how I'm at for first base. Then for I kind of lumped this together for second/third. For second base, maybe a Nico Horner if you trade for Cody Bellinger, try and get some sort of package there. A guy that I really like that I think he's getting slept on, Ha-Seong Kim. I think that's a very good
Which one?
The one
The
that's in
Padres?
MLB currently.
Okay,
Yes,
not the one that just got posted.
the names are similar, but they're different.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It's
I just saw the spelling.
Hye.
Oh,
HYE for the one
Yeah.
that's coming from, is it Japan or Korea?
I will.
I believe it's Korea.
I will look.
I could be wrong on that, but it's Ha-Seong Kim and Hye-Seong Kim.
Interesting. Okay.
I could be mispronouncing part of it, but I know it's Ha and Hye,
Yeah.
kind of. But then another guy that I think that you're just not talking about enough is Gleyber Torres. Susan Waldman said that, this is a quote directly from her, Gleyber Torres is still holding out hope that the Yankees sign him. 1 year, $10 million. 1 year, $12 million.
I don't understand.
I don't care. I
under-
don't care. Just
Gleyber Torres is a good baseball player.
you need a goddamn second baseman.
I will still die on the hill. They should have offered him the qualifying offer.
And
And if he took it, oh well.
you have Gleyber Torres.
Right, for a year. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. There has to be something that we're missing that
I
don't get it.
either.
I really don't. I really don't.
The other guy for second base is Brandon Lau from the Rays. But like you
Jorge Polanco.
No. I didn't even write him down because I have no interest in whatsoever.
Jorge
But
Polanco.
third base,
Jorge Polanco.
third base, I literally only have 3 names, and I'm not interested in a single one of them. Alex Bregman, you got the qualifying offer for. There's been buzz about him. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Curry, every chance he gets, he shits on Alex Bregman. So I just don't see it. I think he's getting Borised. Then you ready for these next 2 names?
Jorge Polanco.
No. John Birdie and Josh Rojas.
John Birdie, my goat.
I wouldn't hate if they brought him back, honestly. As like a
They
utility guy.
non-tendered him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is like just bring him back on like a cheaper deal because they've done that in the past. I forget who, but I know they've done that in the past before. So I wouldn't hate if they brought him back, but to be your everyday starting third baseman at that point, just throw out Oswaldo Cabrera.
Yeah.
But
You remember Josh Rojas? I feel like he's just a glorified.
that's what I mean. I just
Oswaldo
don't want
Cabrera.
him at
Yeah.
all. But if I had to kind of rank them, I would probably say
Jorge.
no. I'd probably say like Horner number 1,
Mm.
Glaber number 2,
Mm.
Kim number 3,
Mm.
Lau number 4,
Mm.
Bregman number 5. And that's only because there's literally no other options.
Second base is a tough position to fill out if you don't have like a good in-house option.
I think there's a lot better options at second base and third base because there's really Alex Bregman, but I just do not want Alex Bregman at all. So, because like you look at all of his numbers, they've been going down. All the underlying numbers have been going down. He had one of the worst years of his career. So, and I honestly think he's a juice ball merchant, juice ball trash can merchant.
Damn.
So a juice trash can merchant. But going to relief pitchers, I've gone ad nauseum about how many guys there are. Kirby Yates, Tim Hill.
There are plenty of relievers out there.
I would love Tim Hill back. I think that's the perfect one to get back.
Give him like $3 million, $4 million, call it a day.
A 1-and-1, just
yeah.
But for
you like me, I like you. Let's make this happen.
Left field, it's left/center. Just because it's an outfielder, either way, you're gonna figure out how you do it. Just Dominguez is either gonna play left or center, the other one's gonna play the other. But the first three options all come from the same team: Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki. I get it. The Cubs really want to dump Bellinger. I wouldn't hate Bellinger as an outfielder. As a first baseman, that's a completely different story.
Yep.
But if you get the Cubs to eat, call it let's just say $7 million.
Okay.
Just for argument's sake.
Sure.
Just to make a round number. So you're paying $20 million this year for a very good defender and right or in center or left field.
Yep.
And he's also gonna have the short porch. And he's gonna be an above average at bat. He's gonna be significantly better than what you got in left field last year.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't hate
Can't
that.
get much worse.
Wuss.
You can't get much worse than Alex would do.
Even the last couple of years has just been that in first base, just been black holes for the Yankees. So
Cody Bellinger will be an above average bat. I will give you that.
Yes. And say that he's $20 million. You don't give up that much. I don't think it's a bad option for the outfield.
No.
First base, completely different story.
Yes,
completely
absolutely.
different story.
I agree.
But
yeah,
that I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
Ian Happ. Wouldn't hate that either.
I feel like Ian Happ is always
connected to the Yankees.
Not even that. It's just like he's always thrown around in trade rumors.
Yeah.
And just never gets traded.
He's a cockroach. But
can't die.
Seiya Suzuki. This is a guy that I want more than Bellinger. Yeah. I love Suzuki. I just don't know if he'd waive his no trade clause.
Yeah.
Because that was
does
part
not
of
want to DH.
That was part of the reason why he didn't want to go to Houston.
Yeah.
Which kind of he would be an outfielder there. He wouldn't be DHing because Jordan. But I would love Suzuki so much. He's fast. He plays defense.
He's not terrible.
He has a couple of
-3 outs above average. He has a good arm.
He has a couple of low lights
blunders
that I've seen. Yeah, some blunders. The Braves game specifically, but you know the clip I'm talking
Poor
about.
Guy. Yeah.
But yeah, I would if I had to rank.
Sorry, he was a positive defender in 23.
Yeah, I looked at that kind of like his numbers are up and down defensively.
Yeah, even with his arm. Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, it's
very odd.
It's just one of those guys that it's very up and down. But I would love Suzuki. I think if I had to rank them, I'd probably go Suzuki, Bellinger, Happ. Just because that may be biased because I've just always loved Cody Bellinger as a player. Yeah. And if you take off some money, you don't really give up anything. Because I think he would also be the cheapest of the three on a term of prospect capital wise, Cody Bellinger.
Because he'd be taking on more money.
Yeah. So I really would just love Cody Bellinger overall. So those three guys, I don't think he gets traded alone. I think the big issue is you'd have to take on thou that shall not be named that I even mentioned, Lars Nootbaar. Guy I wouldn't like. I think you would have to take on the certain third baseman, which I love, but he's just out of his prime.
The Yankees are not on his trade list.
That's it. Which
the Angels are.
The Angels,
but the Yankees are
not. Do
they
have any East Coast teams?
The Mets, for some fucking reason.
Isn't he from Cali?
Stay away. He might be. He sounds like a Cali guy.
He kind of does.
Nolan. Definitely West Coast.
Newport Beach, California. So yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I think we looked it up and like he's only like an hour and a half away from the Angel Stadium or something like that. But
it's probably just like a childhood team.
Yeah, something along
if I'm not gonna win a ring, let me play for my childhood team.
And for Mike Trout.
It's not like the Angels have a third baseman.
Yeah, they don't. They're not overpaying for a third baseman.
Why would they do that? That would be such a weird thing to do.
God, both those deals. The Nationals the choice between him and Strasburg, and Strasburg may have been the better choice, and that's at least Strasburg likes playing baseball. He just can't.
At least, yeah. The will is there.
No, there's just not.
The body just can't.
There's a
follow
will,
it.
but not a way.
There's no way.
But another guy, just because I've heard that this team's been trying to trade an outfielder, don't think it's that likely, but Kyle Schwarber maybe.
Really?
Just because they've been trying to.
Nick Castellanos, welcome to the Yankees.
That's what I'm saying. They've been trying to trade him away, and
Any
Schwarber
interest in Alec Boehm?
Not really.
Really?
I mean, it depends on the deal. That's all it comes down to. It depends. He's gotten a lot better defensively, right? Or is he still trash?
Or is he still trash?
Because I know he used to be god awful.
Yeah.
But I think he got a little better.
Last year was his first positive year. Yeah.
That's what I mean. I
feel like from the eye test, I feel like he's gotten better.
I love the second base market a lot more than the third base market.
No interest?
I mean, not like. I mean,
the second half was awful. I don't know what happened in the second half. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, it just depends on the package.
Yeah.
Really. Because isn't he a really big pull hitter?
He probably.
I think he's a pretty big pull hitter, so that's another reason why.
He's also a gap-to-gap guy. So you're not looking for him for home runs.
But that's the thing with Yankee Stadium. It's not really built on doubles.
He's straight away more than anything. Definitely more pull than Oppo, but
that's
yeah,
whatever. But the straightaway is not that good for Yankee Stadium either. Because
Yeah.
if you're more
field.
pull, more do that, and you're pulling it to that deep right center field, which has so many unicorns, where it's just a 29 out of 30, but it's caught at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
But then getting onto another guy that I feel like has been linked for the last couple of years just to getting traded, but I don't know how the hell he's still on this godforsaken team. Luis Robert,
yeah,
Cuban King. I wouldn't hate him.
He scares me. Like, the
health.
talent is there.
The health.
The health, the attitude. Baseball Savant is not a fan of Luis
Again,
Robert.
I'm just throwing the name
Absolutely.
out there. A guy that can absolutely mash, and I love him on Twitter. Brent Rooker. Maybe you call the A's.
He's not moving.
I don't think he's moving either.
I didn't know this. The A's need to spend money to avoid a grievance with the players' union.
That makes sense.
I didn't know that. That explains the Severino signing. I didn't know that until
And I'm pretty sure they were also
recently.
like the second highest bidder on Fried. Was it Fried? I know there was like a really high top.
Yeah. I remember there was a high like free agent that but someone said the A's were in on.
It was Boob.
Yeah.
So
and then the A's said no. Like, no, we weren't. So I don't know. Whatever.
Then another guy that I just don't understand how he has not got traded yet, because December 10th it said that he was essentially getting traded. Taylor Ward, maybe you go after him.
Yeah, there was a report the other by
December
Feinsand,
10th.
saying that the Angels were close to trading an outfielder. It is December 14th.
Yeah, so Jurickson Profar, I don't really want him, but just another guy that
why don't you want him?
I don't know. It just doesn't.
You know what? I also don't blame you, because whenever he
feels like
just
he could
goes
be
outside
fluky.
of San Diego, awful.
Yeah,
But like,
feels like it could be a little fluky.
doesn't strike out.
What am I looking
Doesn't
at right now?
whiff.
What am I looking at right now?
You're looking at the barrel percentage,
No,
the sweet spot.
no.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
above average.
Yeah. 7th percentile for those that.
Not a good defender.
Yeah. Then the last guy, and I'm writing him down because I had to, but please, for the love of God, stay away. Santander.
Ugh,
That's what I mean.
Jesus.
I had to write him down, but please, for the love of God, stay away.
He's gonna be a good signing for somebody
He's
not in New York.
Let me just say this. He is a phenomenal DH. He would be a phenomenal DH. You don't want him to be in the outfield, and he's not getting on base.
Yeah.
But I think he would make a great DH for the Minnesota Twins. So
Twins.
that was just the
first team that
I
came to
see him
mind.
as a Twin now. The more I think about it,
Apparently the Astros ran on him.
makes sense.
Yeah.
They need an outfielder now. We will give you one Spencer Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another thing about Dominguez. I just feel like the Martian in Houston is just like it's He would have been a Hall of Famer.
What's it?
there.
Space City? Is that their
Space
City
City,
Connects?
yeah. Also just like Houston, NASA, all that
Yeah.
shit. But yeah, if I had to rank them, I'd probably say Suzuki's my favorite. Then I don't think it happens, but Kyle Schwarber second. I don't think it happens. Brent Rooker third. I know he's
See-
not good defensively, but he can mash.
Schwarber and Rooker, right? Who's playing the outfield? You're
One of
putting
them.
those guys in the outfield?
You have to, but it's just because. But it's the thing of they mash so much that
When was the last time Schwarber played the outfield?
you're gonna have to put one of them. And the thing too is
No, he did. He played a few innings last year.
the thing is Stanton. He's not guaranteed to play 100 games. We talked about on the radio that call it
Yeah.
maybe 105 games he plays a year. So
This is incredibly impressive. Are you ready for this one?
No.
In 2023, Kyle Schwarber had 872 innings in left field. What was his fielding run value?
-20.
Yeah.
What?
On the dot.
What?
It-
I was just thinking of an outlandish number.
In almost 900 innings, which is not is like how it's what 100
100 games.
100 games.
100 games, yeah.
It's not a ton. -20.
I was just like, what's a crazy number that I could?
-19 outs above average. He gave the
Oh
other
my
team
God.
like almost a full game's worth of outs.
I was just thinking, what's a crazy number that I could just throw out there?
In 22, when he played 1,167 innings, he had -19. He somehow got worse in less innings.
But ball go burr.
Ball does go
Ball
burr.
goes so burr.
Ball does burr.
Him at Yankee Stadium is just so. That's my
He's
thing.
gonna
like,
kill a child with one of those like line drive home runs to the short porch.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be a fucking laser beam.
Hey Dad, like a.
Just fucking.
But
Anyways,
again, he is not a good defender
Mm-mm.
whatsoever. But just ball go burr.
ball does go burr.
Brent Rooker, not a good defender either, but ball go goddamn burr.
I think Rooker could.
Manage.
Yeah.
He's
It's-
definitely better than Schwarber. I could
Yes.
confidently say that. And the thing with let's go Rooker too. You gotta realize he played in the Coliseum. You put him
Yeah,
at Yankee Stadium,
cavernous.
a much smaller ballpark. He's gonna rake.
100 innings in the outfield last year, -2. Over 400 innings in 23, -3.
You know what that prorates to though, right? The 100
Bad.
-2.
200. I don't know.
Almost a Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
Almost those -20 and 1,000.
Yeah.
But, Then after
well,
that,
shit.
maybe. So those are my top 3. Probably Bellinger, then probably Taylor Ward, if I had to just throw it out there. But yeah, that's what I got. So as a quick recap, Max Fried we love. Jonathan Loaiza could be interesting. Devin Williams, love. Viking funeral for Nestor Cortez. Caleb Durbin got hyped up too much. Kyle Tucker is a Cub. Garrett Crochet is a Red Sox. Christian Walker
Should
really
be a
think
Yankee.
should be. I'm very confident in him or Bellinger being a Yankee by like a week from now. Carlos Santana would love. Yandy Diaz would love. Nate Lau, I'd be happy with. Paul Goldschmidt, I wouldn't hate. Everyone else, second base, I love Horner, Kim, Glaber, Brandon Lau. Third base, do not get a third baseman.
Third brace.
Relief pitcher, need to get 1 or 2 more. Left field, gimme Suzuki, Rooker, Schwarber, Taylor Ward, Bellinger, maybe even Ian Happ, maybe a Lars Nootbaar. I'd be happy with all those. For the love of God, do not get Tony Taters.
Tony Tates.
But yeah, that's all that I got. We'll know soon. I definitely think another move is coming within the next week. Definitely within the next couple days.
For sure, because
Okay.
it's definitely gonna slow down at the end of next week, I think, because the
Yeah.
holidays, and we're not gonna hear anything until the new year.
Yeah. So that's all I just got. So
In that case, because I don't have anything else. Yankees got work to do, but I am pleased from the outside looking in. I am pleased with how they're reacting
Mhm.
to the loss of a generational hitter. And
they are
Soto.
doing a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
They were very competitive with Kyle Tucker. I just truly believe the Astros didn't want to trade him to him.
Yeah. Yeah, Max Fried was a good signing. You worry about the years later. Johnny Lasagna,
He's back,
welcome
baby.
back. But yeah, that's all I got. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. As always, remember to follow us and subscribe at the Triboro Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating there. It really helps us. Follow all of our social media accounts at the Triboro Podcast. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. I think that's it.
Did you say Apple Podcast?
I did say Apple
You did say
Podcast.
Apple Podcast.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
On that note.
On that note, we'll see you in the next one.